Hi,
Hello.
let me take this banner off.
Okay, I'm just having problem and I thought I have Firefox already on my computer, so I'm on my phone. I hope that's gonna be
Uh-oh,
okay. I know I
there's a,
apologize, you gotta do this live. So I'm on
okay,
I'm here, but so I'm on here on the phone.
we have
Um
an echo.
okay.
Okay.
Chono, I need the mouse, please.
Hmm?
Oh no, I'm just saying.
Let's take this. Oh. Mm,
See me
let's
okay?
see. I can see you. Let me make for sure everything is okay right here
Okay.
on my end. How are you?
Oh, busy. I had a long day today, kind of stressful, but it's all right.
Yeah, same
It's all right.
here.
How was your day?
Oh, busy, kind of stressful, but you know, let me do something right quick. Here. Uh-oh.
What?
I was going to try to do something, but it's not working.
Okay.
It's not
It's one
working.
of those days.
I'm a little tired today too.
Yeah, it feels like a Monday to me, but it's only Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. All right. Are you ready to get started?
I'm kind of nervous to be
Are you?
honest with you. Oh my goodness.
All
But
right.
let me tell you one thing. I did see the questions and bid defense. I don't know too. I'm not an expert in bid defense, so could we skip that part?
Yeah, we can talk about whatever is comfortable for you and whatever,
Okay. All right.
So
So I don't know if you how you're gonna stick straight to those questions, or are we gonna go with the flow?
just kind of go with the flow. Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
All right. Sounds good.
Let me see if I can close my door. There's a bit of a glare. All right. I will be. My son is here, so he
Okay.
might be popping in and out every once in a while.
All right. Let me just fix my mirror.
Let's see.
Fix my...
Comments.
Okay.
All right. So, welcome to my clinical research virtual career fair. We have Isaiah's scooting next to me. That's my son's name.
Okay.
We have, what's your name? Is it Zeba? Am I pronouncing that correctly?
It's Zeiba.
Zeiba. We have Zeiba here. She is my special guest. She is actually a senior project manager, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
soon to be program manager. So.
Oh, wow. Awesome. So it's all things clinical research that we're going to be talking about. So just to kind of get started, can you basically just introduce yourself and let us know how you ended up in the role that you're in now?
Sure. So going way back, I knew that I always wanted to do something medical in the medical field, and whether
Mm-hmm.
that be either medical school, becoming a pharmacist or nurse, or even a PA. So
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure, and I did all the pre-med work in college. I did the medical hospital volunteering in high school and in college. I did
Mm-hmm.
patient relations, so try to get an idea of what I wanted to do. um, then I landed into the clinical research role kind of by luck. It was in cancer research clinical trials at UCLA at their academics center. And so then I thought, hey, this is great. Let me get my foot in the door, so to speak, and then see where it takes me from there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up staying there and enjoying the job. I stayed there for 8 years as a project manager assistant. So I didn't even start out as a clinical research coordinator or a medical assistant. And so from
Mm-hmm.
there, then I wanted to explore more in the regulatory role and see how that is. So then I went into Children's Hospital. I did IRB submissions and all things as an IRB specialist. And then I moved cross country to the East Coast, and then I worked remotely as a pandemic hit at Memorial Sloan in prostate cancer clinical trials,
Oh.
and then another remote job, AbbVie, and I always wanted to work at AbbVie, and I
Mm-hmm.
finally got in there, and I was a project manager there for lung cancer, and then aesthetics trials, and then it's something that I felt that suits me best because as a project manager, you have to wear many hats. It's always
Mm-hmm.
changing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's always evolving. You get to have interactions with a lot of different people, a lot of different skill sets that you can apply. And clinical research is where I found my passion and where I wanted to stay and learn and grow. So um, this is where I
Mm-hmm.
ended up. So I'm stayed in this
It's
industry for this long, and it's about 14 years now.
oh, wow. So
Hmm.
that's a long time. So a lot of our pathways, a lot of people that are in the clinical research space right now, most of us wanted to go to medical school and either it didn't work out, you found out you didn't like, whatever the case may be. Because I originally wanted to go to medical school, that didn't work out, so I ended up in the clinical laboratory space. And then people have heard this story probably a million times. I ended up in the clinical research space. I wouldn't say by chance, but it was something that kind of dropped in my lap. And in 2020, by a good friend of mine, and the rest is history. So a lot of our pathways are different, but we have similar stories that are pretty interesting, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That is a common story. A lot of people have their mindset on medical school or whatever it may be, but then
Uh-huh.
somehow the universe has other plans for us.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But we still ended up in medicine. We still ended up in the science
Yes.
field, and you're still helping people and applying your knowledge that you've learned in college and what you're doing now. So it's still helping people, but just not uh, treating, well, directly, if you will.
Yes, we're still administering the therapeutic uh,
Mhm.
therapies, the medicines. You're still having patient interaction, and you're working
Yes.
closely with doctors and
Hmm.
nurses. Um,
Absolutely. I didn't originally start off as a study coordinator either. I ended
oh,
up landing the in-house CRA role in 2021. Remote position. I've been working remotely ever since, and I don't
oh,
think yeah, I don't think that happens. Well, now I know with the market being the way it is, it doesn't happen like that, not very easily.
yeah,
So yeah, it's quite the journey, and I'm here to stay in the clinical research space too. I love being here. The opportunities to me are endless. I mean, they're harder to come by, but I still feel like they're endless. And once you get to a certain point, the salaries are really nice. You know, you don't have to worry about a lot
yeah,
of student debt. Um,
yeah.
I mean, if you already have it, you know, you'll get to the point to well, you'll be able to pay with the role that you're in now. But you know, it's a
Mm-hmm.
lucrative career, and I like the idea of it having the work life balance that comes along with it, especially since I'm a mom, and it helps so much because I'm able to take Isaiah to school, pick him up, attend like his functions. They're really cute kitty functions. You know, I call it being the soccer mom. I can still do all those things and still be successful in my career. Is that something that you found too, that the work life balance, or
Oh,
how is it
yes.
as a senior project manager, work life balance?
Absolutely. That is something that is really good about this job and
Mm-hmm.
clinical research, the flexibility, and that there's
Yes.
still a lot of remote options available.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that you get used to. Your manager, your coworker has got to drop off their kid or pick them up, or they have a doctor's appointment. That
Mm-hmm.
flexibility is there, and it's pretty much standard. We come to expect it that that's going to be happening. Everyone's having anything going on. It's not just work. So clinical
Yes.
research does offer a great work-life balance. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Now, did you find I work for a CRO, one of the bigger CROs in the industry? And whenever I was first hired on, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm being hit by a water hose, or not a water hose, but a fire hydrant. I feel like, you know, you're experiencing that fire hydrant workload. It's like everything has been thrown at you. You know, the training in this field is not what I call necessarily training. You read a bunch of SOPs, and you have your mentors or your line managers, but you just kind of learn as you go. And there are transferable skills that you have from previous roles that can be applied to what you're doing right now. Is that something that you found too?
Yes. So that's one good thing also about clinical research. You don't necessarily have to start off with a science background
Uh huh.
because there's so many transferable skills, as you mentioned, that can be applied, like customer service, how to talk to
Mm-hmm.
uh, people, like how you manage patients, how you handled conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
I went through so many jobs when I was in college. You name it, I did it. I was a waitress. I did telemarketing. I did whatever I could find to get through college. So all those skills are even um, showing up even today as I
Mm-hmm.
would be talking to stakeholders, to the managers, to doctors, to other clinics to get our trial on board. And if they push back or they don't agree with something, those skills come into place. And those are soft skills. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, you do have to be an independent learner and learn those SOPs and do a lot of training in the beginning.
Yes.
It's very cumbersome.
Yes.
There's hours and hours of training you have got to do
Mm-hmm.
and recertify every couple years or every year. But once
Mm-hmm.
you get that out of the way, it gets really easy because all those certifications are things you do every day. So those answers and those things will come quick because
Yeah.
it's all practical experience.
Yeah.
And then there it's always changing. So if you have any input, those
Mhm.
SOPs change, they get updated as
Mhm.
we've got AI also. We've got all these new laws and things changing all the time. So it's not anything you need to worry about. Just it does require self motivation. You got to
Yes.
have the passion for learning and growing. It's not always going to,
Multitasking.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not always going to be set in stone. You got to be adaptable,
Yep.
agile, flexible. So there's a
Mhm.
really important things, and you will bring all your life experiences
Yes.
and make it work.
So for the sake for my audience, especially like on Facebook or Instagram, and I've said it before and I'll say it 100 million times in the area that I live in, it's called a research naive or desert area. So for the audience, can you explain to them like in simple terms, what is a project manager?
Sure. So a project manager is someone who oversees a project with a defined timeline. So they will see it
Mhm,
through from the start to finish, completion, and
mhm.
all the parts that need to be done to manage it and drive it from beginning to end and make sure it's on time and within budget is pretty much the definition of a project manager.
Excellent. That was a good definition. I
Thanks.
hope the audience, if they have any questions, they can just go ahead and pop it in the chat. So I guess I have my question that I sent to you right here on my phone.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Uh, let's see here. Since you're a senior project manager, um, from my understanding, whenever you get to maybe the CTM role, which I'm trying to get to right now, that you need to at least have a bachelor's degree. So, what is your undergraduate graduate degree in, or do you have a graduate degree or
So
both?
I have a undergraduate degree in biological sciences,
Mm,
and it was an option that you could specialize in physiology and human physiology. So I did that, and then
mm,
it has a minor in chemistry, so that was helpful in knowing some of the um, laboratory testing that goes on for some trials, so that was helpful there.
mhm,
But it's basically a biology background, and then I just returned to grad school just when the pandemic started. So in
oh,
2021, I decided to go back and get my master's in
mhm.
clinical operations and healthcare management, and it was all online, which is amazing how things have changed now. And I wanted to have that degree um, complement my experience so I could go into management and more into clinical operations side rather than being just a project manager and into clinical trials. So that's what I did just recently, and I graduated last December.
Oh, congratulations to that.
Thank
Oh,
you. So I
congratulations.
have a big old chunk of student loans now. I'll
Uh,
start over, but it's
I don't even
okay.
know. I don't even know if I want to even think about that. My biggest chunk, well, it's from my undergrad, and then whenever I ended up going for my master's in biology, that tacked on another $20,000. I said, "Oh
Hmm.
my God, this is insane!" But I feel like I'm in the right industry, so at some point I'll be able to get all that stuff down. But
Yeah.
let's see here. Let
I
me
would
see
like to
what
say
question
for those who are considering going to school and being in clinical research, a lot of companies have tuition reimbursement. I unfortunately wasn't able to take advantage of that.
Mhm.
I had one class paid, but um, that is something that anyone can consider. Usually, there is a time frame. You have to be there at the company for about a year, and then they
Mhm.
give you quite a good amount, like anywhere from 5,000 to 12,000. So that's
Gosh.
something that would be very helpful to do. And if you
No,
work at a university, you even get the bigger discount there.
well, I can see why. You're right
Hmm.
there at the university, which it's a sweet deal either way, almost sweeter at the university.
Hmm.
At the university. Let me see. So with being in the clinical research industry, I was a little confused as to initially as to what they meant by indications. So for the audience, for intents and purposes, indications mean like the therapeutic areas, like gastroenterology, vaccines, let's see, neurology. I always forget some of the other indications. There are several cardiology. Um, to name a few. Are you able to name the indications that you are working in? And do you find that some indications are harder than others, or some studies are harder than others?
Oh yeah, it all depends on the person. So you couldn't even term it as therapeutic areas for a broader sense. And when I first started out, I wasn't sure what does that mean because I was used to hearing
Mm-hmm.
diseases. Okay, that's like
Yes.
the lay person will think of it as a disease. What do you have, right?
Uh-huh.
So so indications or therapeutic areas would be the different studies in medicine, like there's oncology, and those will encompass all different kinds of cancers. There'll be, um, like you
Cell
said,
and gene therapy.
gastroenterology. Yeah, so
Yes.
that could be anyone suffering from colitis or IBS. And then neurology,
Mm-hmm.
that could be any kind of brain disorders or even
Mm-hmm.
psychiatry, psychology, you know, seizures or psychiatric medication. So all
Mm-hmm.
those are different therapeutic areas or indications that you could specialize in once you get into clinical research. I was fortunate enough that I wanted to always go into cancer. And so
Mm.
that was my first job, and I went right into oncology hematology trials. And
Mm-hmm.
hematology was lumped into oncology because those are blood cancers, and then it
Mm-hmm.
kind of is overlapping with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I have so far worked on lung cancer trials, um, gastroenterology, pancreatic cancer, prostate cancer, breast cancer.
Wow.
Um, I worked on allergy trials, um,
Mm-hmm.
to name a few, and then Botox and on wrinkles.
Oh,
So that's the latest. So I thought, why not? That sounds cool right now. That's a
yeah.
happening thing right now. So
So the
I
the
did
one
that
for
for a little bit.
Botox, how did that how was that one? That I don't think I've heard of that one yet.
So it's just a limited amount right now because it's so new. So they're always
Uh-huh.
trying to develop newer formulas because not everyone is comfortable with getting Botox.
Mm-hmm.
So, and sometimes if they're put in the wrong way, you can have your eyes coming folding down, and then you have to get it removed. Like
Oh.
your eye blinks a weird way, or your eyebrow will droop, and that's like things
Mm-hmm.
side effects like that. So they're trying to mitigate side effects.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, because I'm so used to for so many years in oncology, that is the easiest for me because I'm the most familiar. But if
Mm-hmm.
someone had just been doing, let's say, allergies, and that's something they will find easier, and then they'll be intimidated by oncology, thinking that's so complex. And it was interesting that I found the Botox trials to be much more complex than oncology. And
Really?
it was kind of like I know what clinical trials are. I can apply my past experience, but it was just so different because it was set up entirely different ways, like apples and oranges. You couldn't compare because the testings are different. The
Mm-hmm.
patient population is what you need is different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, the speed of the trial and the amount of visits that they needed to come is entirely different. It was so fast paced, and
Mm-hmm.
oncology can go on for years. And we follow the
Right.
patient after their treatment, see how they're doing. How long does their remission
Mm-hmm.
last?
Mm-hmm.
So all those things are different. It all
Mm-hmm.
depends on what your interest is as a scientist, as a researcher, as a biologist. Something sometimes a lot of people just go into something because of personal experience. If they have a grandma who had cancer, or if they
Hmm.
have someone who had Alzheimer's, they want to go into that kind of research. So it's definitely what means the most to you, what speaks to you.
Yeah. What the one that really speaks to me as far as indications would be oncology. At one time, I was in the cell and gene therapy department, if you will, in that particular indication as a associate project manager. And I so hate that project. And that's another thing in clinical research, projects can last for quite some time, or sometimes they can stop abruptly because maybe the budgeting is not there, or maybe they're not getting the results that they need from the clinical trial, or maybe it's just too risky. So those are some of the things as to why they would stop. But in this particular instance, I think it had something to do, and it's public. It had something to do with the financial part of it, and so I wasn't able to stay in that role for very long, just 9 months, but I enjoyed the time that I was there in that particular role. So, with that being said, let me see here. Do you do you feel like there are any common misconceptions about the project manager role? Like maybe it's confused with the CTM role. I think maybe some people may get that confused as well.
Yes, yes. So there is a confusion. It's not clearly defined for those who haven't really done it themselves or experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
And so CTM is a clinical trial manager versus
Mm-hmm.
project manager, and CTM is more suited, I would say, in my opinion, and everyone's pathway is different. It would be more suited for someone who wants to stay at the site level and wants to be a site manager.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good for someone who might be a CRA. And
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to be looking into the fine details of actually getting things done at the site for the patient. And you're not really overseeing the entirety of the whole project, of the
Right.
whole study, the clinical trial from start to
Right.
finish, and like more of a like little working on deadlines, on the budget, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
going to be in the weeds and looking at the details, making sure they've got the study drug, making sure that the patient gets in, that they
Mm-hmm.
have everything signed and completed, that all the lab kits came in on time. So you're
Yep.
actually going to be doing all the little parts as a clinical trial
Mm-hmm.
manager versus the project manager is more of a overlook, broad look over the whole conduct of the trial.
So, the way I was thinking for the audience that are probably still not clear on it, for a project manager, you can kind of relate the project manager role to like the CEO of the hospital. They don't work in the specific departments like in laboratory or like on the certain floors. They oversee, like there's an overarching view of the hospital to make sure it's ran properly, make sure the budget is in check. Whereas you can relate the CTM role with somebody that is a lab director. They are actually working on, let's say, the deliverables within that particular department to ensure that, the people within the department are, the testing is being done on time. The nurses and doctors are being contacted with critical results, things like that. So that's how I'm able to, if you will, differentiate the two, or
Yeah,
just kind of make it simplify for the audience. So.
absolutely. And that's a great way of putting it. And also I'd like to add that the CTM role is not defined by a start and finish like a deadline. So project
Mm-hmm.
management, as soon as the project's done, he's going to shift to something else.
Mm-hmm.
So another trial. But the CTM is constantly working with that vendor, the same vendor, making sure everyone's got their supplies, the budgets, the money's coming in, everybody's getting paid, the data's being entered. It's going to be always ongoing. So
Mm-hmm.
you could probably stay within your role for a long time and not have to worry about relearning a protocol, how to conduct a whole trial, a whole new therapeutic area. You wouldn't probably have to deal so much with that.
Excellent. So, let's see here. Did you have any barriers getting into the project manager role? How easy or how difficult was it for you to get to where you are now?
That's funny you asked that. So, um, there are a lot of project managers out there, but to get into clinical research is a little bit of a challenge
Mm-hmm.
because I'm going to get back to the word that everybody loves on LinkedIn, and it's networking.
Networking. Yep.
Networking.
Yes, it is. That's like the glue or the magic sauce, if you will. Networking is key. You know, you can have your
Hmm.
resume. The resume should be on point, right?
Yeah.
But if you're not networking with the right people, it's kind of throwing. I think Tiffany Ashton, the way she put it, well, it's kind of like throwing your application out there into like a desert or into the woods and hope that somebody finds you out there, but that's not that's really not how it works.
No.
No, no.
And I will tell you this. I will tell you this. I was lucky enough that mostly, I would say all my jobs, most of them, I have not had to look for. They approach me. Recruiters approach
Oh,
me.
what a blessing.
That's how much networking really works. I kid you not, because I get approached so many times for people looking for work, trying to get into
Mm-hmm.
clinical research. And I cannot
Mm-hmm.
emphasize enough building your network on LinkedIn. And a lot of people are hesitant because they look at it as another social network type of thing, but it's really important. And for you
Mm-hmm.
to get out there and be part of these associations and be interviewing, casual interviewing with other project managers, researching your career, going to your career center,
Mm-hmm.
volunteering if you can, shadowing someone, and
Mm-hmm.
really learning about what are you good at, and then showing that on your resume and then your LinkedIn, because reading resumes is something that not a lot of recruiters have time for. Like we've all heard, they only have maybe 7 seconds to read the
Yes.
top or
Yes.
skim it really.
Yeah.
But the key is the exposure. So
Mm-hmm.
you may not necessarily get someone to refer you, but the recruiter is going to notice you and reach out to you. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you get to those higher management roles, you have headhunters who who come out and say, "Hey, we're looking for a CEO, we're looking for a vice president. Would you be interested?" So that's how it works as you climb up the ladder.
Right.
And
Right.
then but having a really stellar resume, and resumes are always changing. Like 2 years ago, the way resumes were formatted is different from now.
Yes, it is.
It's just so much more brief now and to the point, and they want quantifiable skills and as many
Mm-hmm.
numbers and
Mm-hmm.
that you can show how
Mm-hmm.
the business was improved. That's really important. And just now, maybe two or three or four bullet points, and that's it. They don't want to know what you did, and they just want to know, how did you make an impact. So
And how can you solve the company's problem too? I heard
exactly.
someone say that it's not about you. I mean, it is, but it's not necessarily about us. It's about how we can solve the company's problem that we're applying to. So if you can demonstrate that on your resume, that's a huge plus because they're like, oh, okay, we've got this issue here. And they are able to, demonstrate that they can help us solve it or help us get to our end goal, then that's more
Mm-hmm.
cookie points for the candidate.
Yeah.
So, and then also the way you brand yourself on LinkedIn too. To me, at first, I wasn't getting that much traction. I was starting off, and I'm like, how in the world can I brand myself on here? And so, to me, what really helped me is whenever I attended the SOS conference in Tucson, Arizona. My LinkedIn account began to grow, but I thought, well, I need to start showing up more. I need to, at least try to help someone that's in the area or that's curious about clinical research in the beginning. Just explain to them like my story or, doing this clinical research fair, I think it's really helping out because again, there are so many people that don't know anything about this industry and there are people that are still trying to get into the industry. So at least for my platform, I want to be able to, have people on so they can share their story and become inspiring to others. So I think
Yeah,
that's another
absolutely.
way of branding yourself as well. So that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I love to mentor as well. I like to help, especially women trying to get into these roles because
Yes.
this industry offers so much flexibility to be a mother, or be a family person, or
Mm-hmm.
your own goals, and to be a
Mm-hmm.
remote worker in any city you want, travel.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I do that in my spare time as well, and so it all depends on how much you can put in, and what effort you can put into it. Because I've seen people become project managers straight out of college, and they're fairly young, or
Mm-hmm.
after 2 years of working. But then I've also seen it can take as long as 10 years or 15 years for some. So it all depends. There's
Yeah.
no cut. It's not cut and dry. It's not set in stone. It's all about you, how your life trajectory takes you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's like, just keep trying. If that's something that somebody wants, and just keep going, keep trying, and you have to be patient, and learn as much as you can. You don't have to get a whole bunch of certificates and master's degree. There's so many who
Nope.
don't even have
Mm-hmm.
those, but they've got the
Mm-hmm.
experience. They built themselves up with learning on the job,
Mm-hmm.
and mentorship
Mm-hmm.
is really important. If you get yourself a
Mm-hmm.
good manager, a great mentor, you can do it without these things. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's just no one way to become a project manager.
Right. I know for myself personally, since I am eagerly wanting to get into the CTM role, for the short term goal and stay there for a while. I have a CTM mentor at the CRO that I work for, and she's very excellent. We're actually, discussing like monitoring visit reports and, discovering trends and where, CRAs may need to be retrained on something, on certain topics, or the way they are, writing up their reports that's incorrect. So just having that mentor to show you those details is really helpful, because by the time you get to your interview, you'll be able to speak to that experience. No, you haven't necessarily done X, Y, and Z, but you have, seen how to do it via your mentor. So I mean,
Yeah,
that's a huge deal to me versus if during the interview question, well, have you reviewed any monitoring reports, visit reports?
right.
No, and it ends there.
Well, yeah, I
So,
learned, a CTM role is also someone who's supervising monitors. So,
mhm.
sometimes if you haven't been a monitor for with on-site roles, because CRA is also a difficult position to get into because
Yes.
everyone requires experience, but you can also have a transferable skill if you've done in-house monitoring, or if you've done your own QA QC reviews of your data within your company, within your team. That also counts. So you just
Mhm.
gotta communicate that in your resume and when you are interviewing.
Correct. That's a great
Mhm.
answer. Great answer. Let's see here. What are some of the pros? We talked about some of the pros in the industry as far as, working remotely, just having the opportunities that are present to us that in as far as our careers, the work-life balance. Can you think of any more pros to this the role that you're in now, or to the industry, and then the cons?
Sure. So the pros are that it's a lot of growth is available. You can go in any horizontal direction that you can,
Uh-huh.
if you are interested in, and there's a lot of vertical growth as well. So
Yes.
lots of opportunities within clinical research for all different kinds of science backgrounds and fields. And even if you don't have a science background, there's many teachers who have gone into clinical research. So, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of nurses who quit their job or are retired, they get into clinical research.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a really big pro there. And then it's lucrative. You get great pay. I
Yes.
remember my young days, I worked 3 jobs at a time, put myself through school. So once you get that great paycheck, it's like waiting to excel, right?
Yeah.
You can breathe and have a good life. And
Yes.
then, yeah, and then the flexibility. There's lots of
Mhm.
remote jobs in this industry, which is great for anything you're trying to do in your side hustle if you have one, or and now that that non-compete thing is like it's like not, they signed the law that you don't have to worry about that anymore, so
Yes, I saw that
yeah.
and I was like, yeah.
And if you want to go to school, it's the best because there's so much flexibility that you can go to school. And I'm not sure I would be able to do that with any other industry. And then there's the tuition reimbursement. There's great perks. You
Mhm.
can travel all
Mhm.
different kind of sites, and conferences are always happening in many different countries. I haven't been able to go yet, but
Yes.
that might be something I could do in next year. There's a lot of
Mhm.
opportunities to meet people. It's a great unit where everyone comes together, and whoever is in clinical research, you feel a bond with each other.
You
And
do.
mhm.
You
And it's
do.
always learning and growing. It's not a stagnant field industry that there's no changes.
Mhm.
It's always, it's going to keep you on your
Well, see,
toes.
science is not. Yeah, that's right. Science is not a stagnant subject or topic. So, you know, the bacteria,
Yeah.
the genes, they're forever changing. The environment kind of causes it to change too. So, with that being said, you know, anything that has anything to do with clinical research or hospital work, you're forever learning because those things are always changing, and medicine
Yeah.
is always changing, and the technology is always changing as well. So, I mean, if you're not
Right.
willing
So,
to stay on top of things, then if you're not willing to learn, you're gonna be like a sitting duck. You're not going to grow within your career, especially if you're
yeah.
not willing to learn and take chances.
Yeah, it's great for someone
Would
who
you?
feels they need to be constantly learning.
Yes.
Who needs someone who needs variety and change all the time and it gets bored
Mm-hmm.
quickly. This would might be good for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then and yeah, the benefits are great. The companies are good. You can work for a small company, a startup, you can mid-sized company, or a large global company. So you have
Mm-hmm.
variety there on
Yep.
that. Um, yeah, I think those are the main pros I could think of. And then for cons, because it's really based on business and drug development and how many patients can be signed up for a trial, that really drives the business.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then a lot of the trials are funded by grants, and
Yeah.
so they're tied to, if a study is not doing well, they're going to have to pull the plug, unfortunately, or they didn't get
Mm-hmm.
a grant. Um, there wasn't enough funding,
Yeah.
or a new medicine came to be that it's too dangerous, too risky, is going
Mm-hmm.
to have to be pulled off.
Mm-hmm.
You got to shut down the study. That happens sometimes.
Yes.
Um, and and because of that, the job stability is not as you may have heard, like from your parents and grandparents. They would be at one company and then they stay there and they
Mm-hmm.
retire.
Mm-hmm.
It's really become a high turnaround, unfortunately, in clinical research, where you are staying maybe 2 years. And some of uh, back maybe in the 90s or even before that, you would be able to stay at 10 years, 15 years. But now it's just so much turnaround,
Mm-hmm.
because of also the economy. There's so many layoffs in all kinds of tech
Yeah.
spaces now. So
Yeah.
biotech, pharmacy is not different anymore. It's like that. So there's lots of layoffs,
Yeah.
so always be prepared. And
Mm-hmm.
luckily, it's a good paying industry, so that you could save,
Yep.
hopefully, and then be prepared for when the layoff happens. Unfortunately, that is, you don't need to have a stress that it's going to happen, but just be prepared.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, there's so many jobs in clinical research. There's so many companies. You really don't have to worry about, when am I going to find my next job.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's not difficult in that. So you really don't have to worry. You're gonna be able to find one quickly within a couple months or so. So that's a pro and a con kind of tied together.
Yeah, it is. How do you, since the industry is a bit on the shaky side, do you see, everything has a season, nothing lasts forever. Do you see us getting any better within the next by the end of the year, or do you feel like it's going to take a little longer for us to bounce back? Because I know, like in 2020, 2021, whenever they were hiring people on like crazy, by the time I got hired on, I mean, it was a wild hiring feast or fest, if you will. Do you think we'll be able to see that again in the future, or do you feel like that is non-existent?
And anything is possible, but this year things are kind of picking up. Um,
Hmm.
I see more job postings, and
Yes.
I'm hearing of companies reporting good growth and profits.
Hmm.
And I know that the project management role and that it's going to be growing, especially, I forget what percentage, but it's a really high growth rate that's predicted by 2025. And the clinical research industry is one of the fields that is growing rapidly and will continue to grow. So there is a demand, and I'm pretty sure it will be for a few years. So it's a good industry to get into
Hmm.
at this point.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but it's just moving very rapidly, but it's going to be around. It's one of the careers that's always going to be around, and experts have said there is a high amount of growth to be predicted in the next 5 to 10 years.
So, with that being said, and even I had my mind made up that I'm staying here
Yeah.
no matter what. I mean, again, I love what this industry has to offer, and the possibilities I feel like are endless. So, it looks like we're both here to stay. We're not going anywhere. Nah.
No, not good anyway.
Nah.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess my last, we're on 15 minutes. Yes, yes, dear. Do you have any tips or advice you can give future candidates that are looking to get into the project manager role? I know you kind of explained a little bit early on. Do you have any additional tips, maybe like interviewing tips?
Sure. There's plenty of mentors out there like yourself, and I'm available. Anybody who's interested in resume reviews or interviewing, but
Mhm,
research as much as you can. Practice with a friend,
mhm,
with family, or coworker. Practice those interviews. Get um, your mission statement and your passion perfected. What really drives you? Just get that really down in your heart, and that's really gonna shine when you do your interview, and that's like the best thing that will help you in your career. Just speaking about your passion, and showing that when you do have an interview
mhm.
and in your resume. So find something that you would really love to have and have an interest in.
I'd like to add to piggyback off of that is whenever you get ready to interview with a company, learn what their mission statement, understand their mission statement, and maybe understand the indications that they are that they have. You can speak to the indications that they are um, in
Yeah,
for
that
the
they're
clinical research.
specializing
So
in. Yeah,
realizing
I
in,
would
yeah.
say, yeah, follow them in the news, see what their
Mhm,
latest drugs are, their latest research is, and speak to it,
mhm,
mention it in the interview, and also understand it, try to follow it so that you are not just saying, "Oh yeah, I heard about this and that," but really have a passion for it. And if it speaks to you, like, your grandma had cancer, and this company that you really want to be a part of is a pioneer in that particular disease, and
mhm,
it's something you really want to be a part of and tribute to your grandma, that's
mhm.
something you can express. So just find that thing that really is going to make a difference and make you unique.
Yes. And
Mhm.
I think a good tip, another bonus in my opinion, would be to talk about their stock market. How well are they doing in the stock market? And that's a good indication as to how well, of course, they're doing. Either like right now, within a few months, or even within a few years, you can study their stock market. So it's probably, I'd say, you need to check that out too. And maybe just if you don't get to speak to it during the interview, which I don't normally, you don't,
Right.
um, maybe for yourself, you can look at the stock market and say, okay, well, it looks like they're doing pretty well. This is a good company to apply to, and then go from that point on as well.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. That's what, yeah, it's great research to do when you're applying for jobs. Absolutely.
mhm.
Yeah, I agree. Don't really mention it. It might be a sore spot for some,
um,
but yeah, that really helps to know if you want to be a part of this company or not.
yes, absolutely. Let's see here. Let's see. I think any last words? I mean, you've given great tips already. You've given us your journey into the project manager space. Any last words? Anything else that you'd like to add? I mean, I'm grateful that you're here as my guest speaker. And again, you've been great. You've been giving out great advice.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. I'm honored to be here. I love helping people as much as I can. Feel free to reach out to me and
Hmm.
connect. I can help you in any way.
Hmm.
I'm here for that. And just my biggest thing would be to to be to know that you are the best version of yourself, and put your best self forward.
Hmm.
And whatever you have gone through, whatever hardships you have gone through, it does not define you. And just know that you are amazing no matter what. And if you want to do clinical research, nobody can stop you. You're going to
That's
be
right.
awesome.
Just and also know that the rejections are going to come. We've all been rejected. You just have to keep pushing forward. At some point, someone will is going to tell you yes. So my advice to all the aspiring clinical research candidates is just to keep searching, keep knocking on doors. And I've heard other people say, and from my what I've seen is whenever if you're trying to get into the clinical research space, go to like small clinical research sites and see if you can volunteer,
Hmm.
see what they need, see if you can shadow someone there at their site. And then also, again, you can reach out to us for questions. And again, I have my own personal business where I help pivot candidates into the clinical research space. So, I mean, the opportunities are there. You just have to talk and network.
Yeah, and the opportunities really are endless. And there's a bunch of nonprofits who always need volunteers. So if you're a great writer,
Hmm.
you could get into medical writing as well. There's so many different things that you could apply and get into clinical research with. And then my one more last thing I really want to say is self-care is really important in clinical research. If you are in
Hmm.
this industry, there is burnout, there's a lot of stress, especially in
Yes.
project management. It's a high stress job. And you really need to incorporate self-care and your breaks, because there will be some times that
Hmm.
you have to work long hours, weekends, because if especially if you're in a global trial, you can be up
Hmm.
at night because you got to work on a trial that's being conducted in Australia or Japan. You're going to be working graveyard. It's not going to happen all the time, but just be prepared that, and just know that self-care is really, really important. So don't ever forget that if you're going to be in clinical
Excellent.
research.
Excellent. So what part of just a fun fact about yourself? I love to, get my nails, manicure, pedicures, a little shopping, going out to eat, theme parks. What's part of your self-care routine, if you don't mind sharing?
It's a spa day. I love spa days. So getting a full body massage, pedicure, manicure, and going to a really nice coffee shop and just sitting
Uh,
outside and reading a
yes.
book or listening
Hmm.
to my music and just relaxing in the whole day.
Yes. Excellent. Excellent. That sounds beautiful to me. That again, that work-life balance and just taking care of yourself and enjoying life. We have work to do, but at some point you have to say, okay, let me enjoy my life and let's see the world, or let's just, as you said, sit and read a book and drink your coffee and
Hmm.
Have enjoy quiet time.
Yeah, take classes,
Good.
learn something
Mhm.
new. I picked up a guitar during the pandemic,
Oh,
so
wow. Oh,
you have
wow.
time to
Interesting.
like learn something new. You can go for it.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, I think if there's nothing else, this concludes our clinical research virtual career fair with is Zaba. Make sure
Yes,
I
got it.
Zaba. I love that name. Where are you from?
Well, thank you. My mom is from Fiji Islands, and my dad is Indian Pakistani. And
Oh,
I'm born
nice.
and raised in Los Angeles, so
Mhm.
I'm a California, LA native, and
Nice.
so my name is from there, and it actually means beautiful. And so
Oh,
that's
wow.
my mom. I'm actually named after my mom. She has the same name. So
Oh, that's wonderful. I
yeah.
love it. I love it. Well, guys, there you have it. Ziba has explained everything to you. If you have any questions, reach out to the both of us. And then, of course, reach out to the both of us, and we'll help you get from point A to point B as much as we can.
Yeah.
Again, thank you so much. And everyone have a great day, great evening, actually.
All right.
All
Thank you,
right.
Alicia. Bye
You're
bye.
welcome.
Take care, everyone. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye.
Okay, Jonah.